Hello and guten Tag, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners to a brand new edition of the Pewter Report podcast, energized by Celsius. It's a big week for us. It's a big week for the Bucs, and it's a big week for all Bucs fans as Tampa Bay goes international all the way over to Germany to play a very important and crucial game against the Seattle Seahawks, a 9:30 start on Sunday. Very excited for that one. So we will preview the Bucs against the Seahawks on today's episode. I'm your host, Matt Matera. Joined with me is my co-host of PewterReport.com, Scott Reynolds. And Scott, how we doing? You ready for the big 9:30 a.m. game? There's been a lot of Germany talk today in the locker room, and it's definitely makes for a unique situation.
Ja, von Totenhasen, ungucke mit viel Eis. I'm not going to do the whole show in German. I won't, promise. No, but I tell the German I know. Volkswagen, that und I'd leaving Land from Def Leppard, of course. Yeah. That was Mr. Worldwide. That was Tom Brady that we had right there on the graphic. And Tom Brady is 3-0 in international games. He has won twice in London. He has won once in Mexico. All those games, of course, with the New England Patriots. And one of those wins, Matt, came against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are 0-3 in international games.
I remember that game specifically because Gronk, playing for the Patriots, scored a touchdown, and then he did like the March of the Wooden Soldier, essentially, and then did the Gronk spike. So I remember that from the Bucs Patriots game. So
yes,
a lot of success for Tom Brady, very little for the Buccaneers. So something's got to give.
Something's got to give. I was there in London with Mark Cook, the late great Mark Cook. Yeah. The last time the Bucs played an international game, that was in 2019. We had a fantastic time over in London. It was a city that I was like, yeah, I'm excited to go. Once I got there, I fell in love with London. Can't wait to go back. Everything was fantastic. Even through the kickoff, Matt, the kickoff was actually good. The problem for the Buccaneers started on the first play of the game where Jameis Winston stared down Mike Evans and threw an interception. One of his 5 interceptions that day against the Carolina Panthers, former Bucs defensive tackle Gerald McCoy, who was playing for the Panthers, actually got a sack in that game too against his former team. So that was not a good experience the last time the Bucs were over the Atlantic. Hopefully things will be different in a different foreign country because the Bucs cannot win in London. They cannot win in England, so they're going to move east to Germany. And Tom Brady's never played there either. So Tom Brady doesn't even have any type of mojo he can bring over to Germany. He just has that 3-0 international record. So as you said, Matt, something's got to give. Either the Buccaneers finally win an international game with the guy who's done it more than anybody, Tom Brady, or Tom Brady gets his first L overseas.
Yeah, we also learned my German correspondence, which is our intern, Adam, who speaks German. He said that the number 12 in German is Wolf, which sounds like wolf, which is ironic because Tom Brady is the GOAT, but he will also be referred to as a wolf in this one. And, I think 12 pack, I think getting things in a lot of a pack. And that makes me just think of Celsius Energy Drinks, which, of course, is the presenting sponsor of the Pewter Report podcast. When I think Celsius, of course, one of the first things that comes to mind is the variety of Celsius Energy Drinks that this drink has. You see the vibes up there on the screen, the Arctic, tropical, and peach vibes. So many great flavors. You can also go with the strawberry lemonade, sparkling peach, the peach mango, a ton of great different flavors. The cola flavor, I know Scott is big on.
Yep.
And the cucumber lime, I've been drinking a lot of lately. So
it's
all
good.
The great flavors. 7 essential vitamins is the key. This is a healthy version of an energy drink, and it provides that essential energy to get through whatever you got going on. Maybe you are substituting it for coffee. We've seen a lot of people do that, including Scott and the coolest guy in the Bucs locker room, Blaine Gabbert, substituting Celsius instead of coffee. So a variety of great different flavors, as you see Blaine on the screen right there. Essential energy to get you through whatever you got going on. And you might be wondering, where can I get this Celsius energy drink? Well, there's a couple of options that you can go to. One, just check out their store locator on their website, and it'll tell you exactly, if you only want to try one, that's totally cool. It'll tell you exactly where to find it, your local gas station, your Walmart, Target, convenience store, or your bodega.
Bodega.
Exactly. Go check it out. Try one, try them all. If you know you want a ton, you're like, I already know Celsius. I love Celsius. I want more than one, though. That's great. Go to Amazon, click on the subscribe and save, and have it set to your house or apartment every 1 week, 2, 3 weeks, whatever you want it to be. Get the variety pack, because variety is the spice of life. Just make sure you're drinking Celsius energy drinks. That's Celsius, hashtag Celsius Live Fit, hashtag Celsius Energy, the official sponsor of the Pewter Report podcast. Now, Scott, as we start talking about Bucs versus Seahawks, before the season started, I think we looked at this going,
hold on 1 second. We got a very important question we got to take care of here. Are we drinking Celsius or Pirate Republic at 9 a.m. on Sunday? Confused. That's a great question. It really is, Steve.
Yeah.
And I think the easiest answer is start your day with the Celsius probably before 9 o'clock. Get up early. I mean, why would you want to get up early, Matt? Because we have an 8 o'clock pregame show. That's why.
Yes, we do.
We've got the Pewter Report tailgate show live from our own houses. We're not going to be at walk-ons. We encourage you to go to walk-ons because both the Wesley Chapel and the Midtown stores are open at 9 o'clock, right in time for this game. They've got a great brunch menu, so you definitely want to go to walk-ons and experience their awesomeness at 9 o'clock because that's when they open, and that's going to be a great time to watch all of their TVs. You get the whole place to yourself. There's no other game on, so it's nothing but wall-to-wall Buccaneers and Seahawks. You get great drink specials, great food at walk-ons. Both the Midtown and the Wesley Chapel locations are going to be open. Now, we're actually going to be doing an 8 o'clock show because we're starting earlier. So we're not going to be at walk-ons because we have to watch the game as well. But we're going to be doing a show, a Pewter Report game day show, live at 8 o'clock. And then Matt is going to take over at 9:30, and he's going to do his awesomeness at the Pewter Game Day show with his live commentary, some insights and tidbits he's learned throughout the week as it applies to the game. So you want to make sure that you're either at walk-ons or you're watching the Pewter Report tailgate show. It's going to be at 8 o'clock right here on Pewter Report TV on our YouTube channel, followed by the 9:30 live in-game analysis on Pewter Game Day. So to answer that question, I would say you're going to want to have your orange Celsius early in the morning, get your day started. Then after that, you might want to start with the Pirate Republic, right? Because it's the official beer of Pewter Report. And speaking of orange, I have got the Belgian wit beer, which is the golden haze of piracy. You drop an orange in there. It's good. Matt's going to tell you about it in a second. But I would say both, Matt. I think that's the logical answer.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Get a little pep in your step to start the day and then settle in watching the game with the Pirate Republic beer. Hopefully it'll make the Bucs play better. A question here from Andrew: have the Bucs left yet for Germany? No, they are leaving tomorrow. Tomorrow will be kind of an abbreviated day at the Bucs facility. They'll start practicing there. We'll speak to Byron Leftwich, and then it's a little quicker than usual because they're off jet setting to Germany. And of course, we also have to factor in there is a tropical storm. I don't know if it's been called a hurricane just yet, but there's really bad weather coming to the Tampa area. So the Bucs are going to want to get out of there sooner rather than later. And I honestly would not be surprised if they even change it further by the end of tonight, deciding to leave earlier than that, because
I wouldn't be surprised.
You can't get stuck in this at all,
Yeah, plus you don't want to be delayed either. That's the thing, is you don't want to be delayed on your international flight. It's going to take long enough to get over there, and you already have your day planned where you're going to have a practice on Friday, then your walkthrough on Saturday. So you want to stay on schedule. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do make some adjustments, have an earlier morning practice. We'll talk more about their game day preparation and their preparation for Germany, because they're doing some interesting things when it comes to sports science. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. One thing I think before we get to our Bucs Seahawks preview, Matt, we're not going to be able to talk to Tom Brady this week, interestingly enough, because of this truncated, abbreviated media sessions we get this week with the traveling that this team is doing. But I was going to say, you guys heard Brady call his teammates out for lack of effort. Yes, we did a story on that on pewterreport.com yesterday. And I think listen, there's a lot of guys you can call out for a lack of effort. I think at times the wide receivers have been a little lackadaisical with some of their route running. I think the offensive line has had their moments where they've had some lapses. I think Leonard Fournette running the ball has not been as diligent, hitting the holes or using his vision. Right, tippy-toed, exactly. So I think he's talking more about the offensive side. Obviously, on the defensive side, we've seen the second half of the Panthers game, of the Ravens game. You could make some arguments there that Brady might be calling out his teammates across the board. I think he is. But one of the guys that has to play better is left tackle Donovan Smith. And I talked to him about that today. I'll be writing more about that in my SR's Fab 5 on Friday. But Donovan Smith really needs to pick up his level of play. It needs to get back to where it was in that 2020 run. After the bye week back in 2020, when they went on that 8-game run, Donovan Smith was playing his best football. He needs to get back to that, and had a conversation with him today. And I think that might be on tap because this play has slipped a little bit. He admitted that to me. And that may be one of the guys Tom Brady has in his mind, the guy protecting his blind side, Matt.
Yeah, Donovan's had some costly moments for this team, whether it was a penalty against the Steelers, a penalty and allowing a sack when they played against the Ravens. And then, of course, I don't know how much I want to blame Donovan Smith. He did allow a sack. There's no excusing that. It was against Aaron Donald, the best defensive tackle maybe of all time, but
on fourth down.
On fourth down too. That obviously didn't help, but yeah, I think there's no question that obviously Donovan's playing through a hyperextended elbow injury that he suffered against the Cowboys, and he worked his way back. And Donovan will be the first one to tell you that it's no excuse. If you're in there, you're in there, and you can't let that injury become an excuse for you. But yeah, I mean, listen, Donovan has played great, and we've given him credit when we said like he should be a Pro Bowl player, but there's just so many great left tackles in this league, or at least there was last season. And we're going to talk about it when he struggles too. And there's no other way to say it than he struggled over the past couple of games. And Brady, we talked a lot about that. He's not as comfortable in the pocket as he once was. Mark had a question here. We'll get to Common Sensei in a second. What's it take for him to look comfortable in the pocket the rest of the game like he does at the end of the game? Well, part of the reason that he wasn't comfortable in the first place is because he wasn't getting that blocking, but that was more from up front and not necessarily Donovan Smith. But with Donovan's play slipping the last couple of games, I do think Brady still has done a good job of like getting the ball out very quickly. But we spoke to Donovan today as well. I mean, we talked about a bunch of things, but one of the big things that has kind of been a theme is that the Bucs are just playing better when they go up tempo. And some of it is out of necessity. The last drive against the Rams, you had no other choice. You had no time. You had to keep going. But Donovan had an interesting take that I agree with. And obviously he would know better than me. He's the one playing. But, he talked about the fact that when you're in these no huddle situations, you're going up tempo, you're not thinking as much. It's just more muscle memory because, the play is called, you're going after your guy and you're just go up tempo. In a weird way, not thinking kind of helps the Bucs offense in an odd way. Because you're just going forward and moving. You're not reacting too much about this or this. So, I don't know. That was my big takeaway from it.
Well, James thinks you're giving him a pass. So there's that. I'll say this. This team has underperformed this year. There's no doubt. They're 4-5, and effort is part of that reason. And again, going back to Common Sensei's thing here, coaches should be calling out the lack of team effort. Brady shouldn't have to even say that publicly, which says a lot. Probably wasn't working privately. Yeah, that's the case. And I think Todd Bowles, one of the biggest differences between he and Bruce Arians is Bruce Arians will call it like he sees it. He is not afraid to throw a player under the bus publicly because he has that level of trust and communication where he's like, I'm gonna throw your football game in the shitter, but I love you as a person, right? It's the yell and scream at him and then hug him and tell him you love him, and that's just who Bruce Arians is. Todd Bowles can't be Bruce Arians. He's got to be Todd Bowles. And Todd Bowles, from what I've gathered, Matt, and you correct me if I'm wrong, halfway through Todd Bowles' first year as head coach, he does not do any criticism publicly. He doesn't.
No.
he's been given opportunities to, and he's passed.
There's been a lot, whether it's Devin White, Donovan Smith. Are you okay with the way that he's played? I'm not okay with the way the whole team has played.
Right.
He's definitely way more protective of his players than I would say Bruce Arians was, where Bruce would be very protective of the coaches,
right,
and be like, nah, the players are messing up. Todd's a little bit the other way around, right, where Todd will kind of be like, our coaching needs to be a lot better. But no, but it's not on the players. So they're very different in that sense. And Todd will be a little more, go the route of coach speak, if you want to call it that. And we appreciate Bruce for being so blunt, because it helps with, writing stories and things like that. I mean, but I don't blame Todd either for not just being like, Devin White didn't hustle, and I'm so pissed at him for it. Or Donovan's played really bad, and
right.
If we could change him, we would, but we don't have it back. I'm not saying they should change Donovan Smith. But no.
I think too. And I'm not gonna necessarily say Todd or the front office is doing this, but I've been doing this for a long time. Going back to my first year with Sam Weish in 1995, covering this team. Rich McKay was the general manager. Then you have the Dungy years, then the Gruden years, et cetera, right? And then they've gone from Rich McKay to Bruce Allen to Mark Dominic, Jason Light. So there's been a lot of general managers and a lot of coaches that I have dealt with. And I'll just say this. Sometimes the team, and I'm not going to basically say a coach or a general manager or a personnel guy or a scout or an assistant or a coordinator. I'm just going to say the team. Sometimes the team will use the media to get a point across. And I'll leave it at that. Sometimes the team will use the media to get a point across to a player. And sometimes players have their own media. Tom Brady has his own podcast.
Yep.
He's got the Let's Go podcast. And I would not be surprised if there was some strategy there, whether it was Tom doing it on his own or whether it was Tom coordinating with somebody in the building that wanted to, hey, we need to pick up the effort, right? And listen, it's different when it's coming from the players.
Sure.
The coaches, their job is to get the best out of the players. But it's like coaches are management, right? And then you've got the working class, which are the players. That's just how it is in any job, right? And it's no different in football. That's the dynamic. That's the construct of management and workers, coaches and players. And sometimes the players need to hear it from a player rather than a coach. That's why you see a lot of times coaches and scouts and general managers, Matt, they will sign a veteran player that has experience to kind of serve as a mentor to a player, right? So they can get some extra coaching, right? Not just from their position coach or from the coordinator, but in the locker room or in the huddle or on the sidelines, that veteran talking to that younger player, that's just as beneficial sometimes as the coaching. So I think that Tom Brady used his Let's Go podcast to send a message to players, unnamed, about getting their effort together because they're this close to turning the corner. You beat the Seahawks in Germany. You're 5-5. You have a bye week. You're getting people back. You're getting healthier. You kind of get to restart the season. And Matt, look out. I mean, if this team is 5-5, I mean, right now they're atop the NFC South. The NFC, there's a couple of, lead dogs, but they can still make up a lot of ground down the stretch if they win on Sunday.
And let's remember, 2020, they were 7-5 going to that bye. It was like, they lost 2 in a row. They lost 3 out of their last 4, whatever it was. And that bye changed everything for them. And sure, maybe their schedule wasn't extremely tough. They played the Vikings, who aren't this year's version of the Vikings, and a couple other teams. But that bye did them so well. And to the point about hearing it from someone else, sure, it's one thing when like one of your fellow peers says it, and maybe some of the Bucs players were on their high horse a little bit because, hey, we won a game, we're back. All of a sudden we're back, and it's like, you're not exactly back because offensively you were still really bad up until 59 minutes into the game, and then you really got it together. And it's one thing when you hear it from your peers; it's another when it's Tom Brady that's saying it too, and. It is kind of odd, though, because, listen, I'm not knocking Brady on what he had to do with his family life. We all know what's going on there.
Right.
But if someone had called if Tom called out someone specifically, and that guy was like, "Wait a second, you were the one that wasn't here in training camp for
Right.
a week. You were the one that did this. What are you talking about?" But obviously, again, Tom Brady has the resume, so I'm not saying people should say that.
Well, and I think too that where Tom is talking about the effort is in game. I think he's talking about the effort on Sundays.
Tom shows up. Yeah,
Tom does show up on Sundays. There's no doubt. Yep.
Yeah.
So we did hear from Todd Bowles today on a couple of the topics. Let's talk about that, because he also talked about the Seahawks as we kind of transition into our Bucs Seahawks preview, because this is the best team record wise in the NFC that the Bucs have faced this year and might face depending on how this season plays out. But the Cardinals keep losing, the Saints, the Falcons, the Panthers keep losing. These NFC teams that are still on the schedule later on. This is going to be the best NFC team they've played record-wise.
Yeah, without question. And there's a little familiarity there. Not much, but Todd Bowles, when he coached the Jets, he did coach Geno Smith for a little bit. Now, Todd's first year, you want to talk about dealing with adversity? Todd had to deal with a lot that first season, which it ended up working well for him because Ryan Fitzpatrick became the quarterback. But for those that don't remember, at the time, it was a quarterback competition between Geno Smith, who had been there for a year or two, and Ryan Fitzpatrick. And then Geno Smith got sucker punched by his teammate, broke his jaw, and it was like, all right, Ryan Fitzpatrick, you got the job. Anyway, Geno was there for another 2 seasons when Todd Bowles was the coach. So I asked him today, I was like, where have you seen the growth in Geno Smith? Because Geno Smith's career trajectory, quite honestly, is crazy. He's going to be the guy in New York for the Jets. Yeah. Then he has to take a backup job. And one of the funniest things ever, again, because I was close to it being from New York. So he goes to the Giants the next season as the backup. And Geno Smith broke the streak of that Eli Manning had of the career starts, because their head coach at the time wanted to make a statement by starting Geno Smith, which was absolutely crazy. Then he went to the Chargers, was a backup there, and then was a backup for the Seahawks for a couple seasons. And now, as Nate says here, he's on a warpath revenge tour. He's doing a great job. 15 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. So
he's completing 73% of his passes too, Matt.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like he's just, lucky in the red zone and being protective of the football. I mean, he's got a higher quarterback rating, I think, than Tom Brady. He's completing 73.1% of his passes. He's playing great football.
He's playing extremely well, and they're mixing it great with a really good running game. They're all averaging. You talked about it with Todd Bowles as well. They're all averaging over, what is it, like 4 yards per rushing attempt?
It's crazy. So the Seahawks, they draft a running back every year. I mean, you talk about a team that's committed to the run. There's really 2 in the NFL that are just absolutely committed to the run year in and year out. That's Pete Carroll in the Seattle Seahawks in the NFC, and it's Jim Harbaugh in the Baltimore Ravens in the AFC. Those 2 teams are just absolutely, we're going to run the football. We're going to be balanced, but hey, we're not afraid to run it 40 times, 50 times a game if we have to. That's just who they are as a team. And yeah, I've never seen a more efficient running team before. And what I mean by that is every offensive player that has touched the ball, whether it's a running back, a quarterback, or a wide receiver on end arounds or jet sweeps, has averaged 4.8 yards per carry or more. Geno Smith has got the worst average at 4.8 yards per carry, okay? DJ Dallas, the W's backup, 5 yards per carry. Former Miami Hurricane Travis Homer, I think he went to Florida State, 5 yards per carry. D. Eskridge, who is a wide receiver, they use him on some end arounds, 5 yards a carry. Rashad Penny, who's out for, I think he's on injured reserve. He was leading the team with 6.1 yards per carry. And, of course, Kenneth Walker III, the phenomenal rookie out of Michigan State, is leading their team in rushing with 570 yards on the ground, plus 7 touchdowns. He is averaging 5.1 yards per carry. So it's an awesome ground attack. It's the ground attack Todd Bowles wishes he had. When he says we need to run the ball, we need to run the ball more. He's just pointing like see Byron, see what they're doing, see what they're doing, do it. They just can't.
Kenneth Walker is a very exciting player to watch. Obviously, he was great at Michigan State, and he's he's translated it over to the NFL, which is great. So we're going to play 2 videos. Todd Bowles talking about playing against the Seahawks run game, and then his comments on Geno Smith.
In the run game to make everybody they give the ball to successful on the ground.
They're blocking up front very well. They have 2 great runners. Well, Penny got hurt, but with Walker, they got a heck of a runner. He's got great vision. He's great in college. He's good now. The receivers can run the ball, doing jet sweeps and everything. And then you got the quarterback runs. So they spread it around pretty much, and they always threaten you outside with speed. So you got to play them honest. It's a credit to his hard work. Geno, you got to grow up in this league a little bit. Everybody gets that chance. When I had him, he was a lot younger. He was a very good quarterback then. The maturity as a backup kind of sets in when you become an older quarterback. He runs the offense well. He knows what to do. He's comfortable in the system, and the guys around him, he's doing a hell of a job right now. So my hat's off to him.
Yeah, a lot of maturity from Geno Smith. Going through like everything that he went through,
Yeah. Yeah, and he's part of the run game too, to a degree, but he's really getting the job done as a passer. He really provides the balance to that offense. Seattle, this is from D again. Seattle learns from Baltimore's first half mistake of trying to throw, expect a heavy run game from the start. I think that's very much in play. The Buccaneers did a very good job, to their credit, of shutting down the Rams' running attack. That there's some truth there. That's also a joke, because the Rams running game
exactly
is a joke, Matt. But to their credit, they at least kind of shut the run game down a little bit. They get a little bit of credit. But when you've seen how teams have run on the Buccaneers defense, talking about Carolina specifically in the second half and the Ravens in the second half, you have to be concerned right off the bat if Seattle decides to come out and say, like Dee suggested, we're going to try to run it down your throat for 4 quarters.
Exactly. I'm not fully convinced that the Bucs have solved their inefficiencies in stopping the run on defense just because they got it done against the Rams. And remember, they were teetering at that one point when Henderson broke a couple of tackles in the second half. So I don't think the Bucs are by any means the problem is solved there. Now, it does help that, again, Akeem Hicks will be playing. We'll see really this week how much of a difference, how much that'll help Vita Vea or Akeem Hicks, as you see there, how much of a difference. Because it's one thing when you're playing the Rams, who have a depleted offensive line and, don't run the ball to begin with. Cam Akers wants to get traded and all of that. And it's another when you go up against this, this Seahawks offense, I should say, that's averaging 359.8 yards per game and 133.8 yards.
It just sets up play action. You're so
just
worried about stopping the run that Geno Smith is able to operate, right?
And I just think the body blows too of just run after run after run. Like the Bucs might be able to stop it in the first half, but it's the full 4 quarters that concerns me, because they might be like, all right, we only allowed 35 rushing yards in the first half, and then wham, they come out in the third quarter. It might not even happen until the fourth quarter, but Kenneth Walker has that explosive ability to just rip off a 45-yard run. And then, then it's curtains for the Bucs defense. So they definitely have a huge test this week, not to mention the fact that, Seattle has 2 really talented wide receivers. DK Metcalf is, the offensive version physique-wise of Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. He's just like a robot of a human that looks like the Hulk. And Tyler Lockett, I totally understand he's up there in age, but he's still a very serviceable and formidable wide receiver. I don't know if you saw this video on the internet, Scott. It's very funny. Someone put up a compilation of every catch Tyler Lockett makes this season. Maybe not every single one, but he gets the ball and then he immediately goes to the ground to get avoided. And sure, you could laugh like, oh, come on, like get the extra yard. But he's also a veteran guy that's been doing this for a long time, and he's thinking longevity. So it's like, hey, I made the catch 15 yards down the field. I don't need to, get hit in my knee and my head for another.
Well, he went to Kansas State, Matt. That's the Harvard of the Midwest. Right?
Yes,
we're smart. So I don't blame him for making some business decisions. It is the key to longevity, right? You can't help the club in the tub, and the best ability sometimes is availability. So, I mean, and Tyler Lockett has really moved up the Seahawks all-time career receiving yards and catch and touchdown leaders as well. So he's really been one of their franchise players for some time. Matter of fact, back in 2015, the Buccaneers, and sometimes we learn this after the fact. it was either going to be Ali Marpet in the second round or Tyler Lockett. Those were the two guys they were considering. And Jason Light, they loved Ali at the Senior Bowl. They just drafted Donovan Smith, the left tackle, earlier in the second round, and they traded their third round pick up into the second round to get Ali Marpet. But the other guy they were considering was Tyler Lockett from Kansas State. But he's had a fantastic career with the Seahawks as well. And it's a nice 1-2 punch that Seattle has. They really don't, when you look at, and you mentioned Kenneth Walker being an explosive guy. This is a guy that has a 74-yard touchdown against the Chargers. He's got a 34-yard run against the Cardinals. He's got a 69-yard run against the Saints, a 21-yard run against Atlanta. He can rip off a big play at any time. He's just a really, really good back. Doesn't catch the ball that well out of the backfield. They didn't throw the ball to him a lot at Michigan State. He's not going to be a big-time weapon, I don't think, in the receiving game. The last game he had, he caught 3 passes for 20 yards against the Cardinals, and he had 109 yards on the ground with 2 touchdowns, tying a career high. But he's going to do more of his damage as that running back rather than a receiver. And he gives them that balance that Pete Carroll wants when you've got that receiving game going with the 1-2 punch on the outside. And I think, hey, it's great that the Bucs have Carlton Davis back to play opposite Jamel Dean and having Sean Murphy Bunting back too, because Noah Fant and Will Dissly, they're okay tight ends, but they're not going to be the factors that Lockett and Metcalf are going to be. Both of those guys over 500 yards. Both of those guys, Lockett and Metcalf, have 4 touchdowns on the season.
Yeah, they're very wide receiver driven, and that's how they're going to go and get their points. And they have that balance, as you mentioned. It's really good to have balance because it gives you so many options, whether you want to run, go play action, go deep, go short. It's great to have options. I like to have options when I'm going to have a Pirate Republic beer, which, of course, is the presenting beer, the official beer of the Pewter Report podcast. They are based out of the Nassau, Bahamas, and now invading Florida just in time for football season. Beer brings people together, whether it's a night game or early in the morning at 9 o'clock. It brings people together to celebrate life. That means celebrating life in the spirit of the original pirate code, which is a sense of belonging. The Pirate Republic is a community of people living life on their terms. The Long John Pilsner, which you see on the screen here, and my personal favorite, is perfect for tailgating or having fun at the beach in the Florida sun. Then you have the Take No Quarter IPA in the green. That's the best IPA that you'll drink. Even if you're not an IPA fan, you'll like the Take No Quarter IPA. And then what Scott was drinking on the show today, as you see the gold can there, you can drop an orange slice in the Golden Haze Piracy Belgian wit beer and enjoy that Pirate Republic life. Pirate Republic beer is available at participating retailers like Total Wine and More, Lucan's Liquors, Party Liquors, and select ABC liquor stores in the greater Tampa Bay area. And they're expanding across the state of Florida, which is great. I get my Pirate Republic from the ABC Liquors. So live life on your terms and drink like a pirate with Pirate Republic beer. We got to get that over in Germany, too. But I know, Scott, you'll be having an exclusive tour of Pirate Republic coming up very soon.
Yeah, taking the family during the bye week to the Nassau, Bahamas, right, on a Norwegian cruise, a little 3-day cruise out of Miami. So looking forward to that. And yes, we'll be stopping by the brewery there at Nassau, Bahamas, the Pirate Republic Tap House, where they've got even more beers than the 3 beers that they serve in Florida. But yes, I am enjoying today the Golden Haze of Piracy. This is a fantastic. You see the orange in there. It's a fantastic beer. It's probably my favorite. I have 3 favorites, but this is my current favorite. How about that?
Very nice. I like it. Mark says he's coming down to Florida in December, and he's going to pick up a awesome Pirate Republic 6-pack. Love that. Thank you, Mark.
Love it.
So
really what is the status of Antoine Winfield Jr., right? Is he going to be in play this week, you think? Todd Bowles addressed that today, Matt.
Yeah, he said that he's still in concussion protocol, which obviously is not a good thing. He's missed the last 2 weeks. Now, he continues to do this thing, and they did it with Cam Brate too, where Antoine Winfield Jr. practiced last week, and he was out there today. Now, he wasn't wearing shoulder pads. Everyone was in shoulder pads. He was wearing a red sweatshirt, a red hoodie, and then he had that the catapult, the little black band kind of that they put on, and it tracks all your speed and technology and all that stuff. So we'll see. I mean, they're flying out tomorrow, and if he's still in concussion protocol, I would highly doubt that he's going to be available. And just an update for some of the other players. Mike Evans was not at practice today.
Right.
He looked kind of banged up during the game on Sunday, so that's definitely something to monitor. Russell Gage was out there but was not practicing. He was throwing a lot of darts in the game that they have in the locker room. So, again, another thing to monitor. Still no Luke Gedeke, so it's looking like we'll see another week of Nick Leverett.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Left guard, and no complaints here or by anyone. And Cam Brate practicing with the team again, did it last week in shoulder pads today. We shall see whether or not he's available, but I think you and I are both in agreement that it should be Cade Otton that is still tight end one for this team, even if Cam Brate comes back.
I tell you, I was talking to Donovan Smith today, who he said two things that were interesting to me. Number one, it's interesting when you have these international games, especially over in Germany, because of the soccer, or should I say football type of atmosphere. He said they cheer the whole game, right? Yeah. It's not like quiet now, offense is working, right? We're in the red zone. They just cheer the whole time. For all four quarters for both teams, it's just going to be loud and a bunch of noise. So it's really going to be, even though it's a home game for the Buccaneers, they're the host team. It's going to be like an away game, I think, for both teams, Matt. Yes. I don't think either team's going to have any type of reprieve from the crowd noise. And a lot of times, at least in London, they were at these like noisemakers or whistles or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of like all hell breaks loose. But, all hell broke loose in the last 9 seconds of that Bucs Rams game. And Cade Otton, man, this kid he's coming on strong. And Donovan Smith's a big fan of Cade Otton. He said, this guy he's the next one. That's what he said. He's the next one. And what he means by that is this is the next one, the next starter, the next option for Tom Brady, the next go-to guy. He's going to be in that mix with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. And we'll see about Russell Gage. We'll see if Gage can come back at some point this season. And I think they're doing the smart thing with Gage by resting that hamstring, because he was trying to play on it and practice on it, Matt. It just wasn't getting any better. And I think in the meantime, Scotty Miller, we saw the reemergence of him. And if he can continue that kind of renaissance, that would be great for him, because he's in a contract year and helpful for this team. But Cade Otton stepping up, man, right when this team needs him. That's clutch.
Right. I'm in full agreement with you with Russell Gage. Just sit, get healthy, because even when he was in, he didn't provide anything besides the Packers game. And again, that's because literally everyone else was either out or suspended. So sit Russell Gage, let him get healthy. I don't care if Russell Gage doesn't play for the entire month of November and he's just back for December. But you have to make Cade Otton your third option. Just start establishing it. Feed him the ball if that's the case. And not with stupid screenplays, because I'm out on screens with the Bucs.
Yeah.
I would love for Scotty Miller to be that third wide receiver option. And what he did last game was a great step in the right direction, outside of not catching the touchdown that hit him in the face mask. But they won the game. We'll forgive him.
Right.
We'll forgive him for that. I just don't know if Scotty can do that consistently on a week-to-week basis. I think,
agree.
Hey, it was a good game for Scotty. The Rams, for whatever reason, decided to not guard the sideline, and Scotty took advantage of that. Yep. He started getting into the grimy areas and started making those plays. I just think it was kind of like a one-time thing that might pop up here and there.
Yeah.
I just don't see it being consistent. Rashad Perriman, I don't see him being a factor. Again, Rashad Perriman is going to make one play every year that he's on the Bucs. He's going to make one big play.
He's already made it. He caught the touchdown in the Saints game.
Exactly. Last year is the Bills. This year is the Saints. He's like, all right, I made my play. Sign me for training camp next year. I'll see you. I'll see you in July.
Exactly.
So the Bucs obviously have a huge issue when it comes to their third receiver, because no one can stay healthy. Julio Jones, put him in bubble wrap. Russell Gage out on the side. So you gotta you have to get that production somewhere else because it can't always be Mike and Chris.
Yeah.
And sure, they sprinkle in the running backs and everything. You need another downfield target, and it's no surprise that Cade Otton sparked that last drive when they won the game.
And you know what?
That catch down the field.
If the Buccaneers can beat the Seahawks, they might kind of get back in the running for Odell Beckham Jr., right? Odell's playing it cool.
That's another.
You know what I'm saying? He wants to go to a team that is going to have a legitimate chance of winning a Super Bowl. And I don't blame him. He's a front runner. He has that option with him being in demand right now with a lot of teams, and the Cowboys are in hot pursuit as well. But I just think that might be an interesting situation to watch, a development that might come up if the Buccaneers beat the Seahawks. They're 5-5. You get the bye week. There's some buzz. That's about what time, towards Thanksgiving when OBJ might making his decision. You never know. If they lose, I don't think OBJ is going to consider the Buccaneers at all. They got to win on Sunday. Now, one of the other things too that I want to talk about with regards to this game and this Bucs Seahawks preview is when you look at Seattle's offensive line, there really isn't any big time stars there. It's crazy because if you look at the PFF grades, and again, Pro Football Focus is not the gospel when it comes to player evaluation. It's helpful. I don't know that they do a great job with offensive line grades. I'm not saying they do a bad job, but it's not perfect. But when you look at their starters, Charles Cross, the rookie at left tackle. You've got Abraham Lucas, the right tackle. They're inconsistent. I don't think there's. Well, let's put it this way: the highest graded offensive lineman is Damian Lewis, the left guard, who I think's in his second or third season out of LSU. Mm-hmm. I like Damian Lewis coming out of college. Matter of fact, I think this is his third year because he was blocking for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and he's a good player, but I think his grade is like 68, which is, 70 or higher is good. You get into the 80s, the upper 70s or 80s, that's really good. 90s is elite. So looking at the PFF grades, Matt, they don't have a lot of star power across that offensive line. Center Austin Blythe, Gabe Jackson at right guard. These are some okay guys, but they play well together. They're smart. They play hard, and they have a good run scheme. And they're winning the line of scrimmage without beating you on talent. Like, I don't think any of those Seahawks offensive linemen is going to be challenging for a Pro Bowl spot, right? Any spot. But Matt, that's one thing Todd Bowles was saying today. The Seahawks, they just play smart, hard-nosed, tough football. And they're getting the job done on both sides of the trenches. And that offensive line, without having the star power, it's pretty impressive.
You talk about chemistry and being collective as a group. That's exactly what the Seahawks are. And I think it's a big credit to Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll's been there for a very long time. And when you have a coach that's there for as long as he is, and let's face it, Pete Carroll is like the player's coach. He's fun. Right. He's a cool guy. It's different than Belichick, who's been there for a long time, and he puts the fear of God in you.
He's like a curmudgeon.
Coach is going to ream me out. Now, Belichick also has a ton of Super Bowl rings,
right?
Where, sure, Pete Carroll does have a Super Bowl ring, but they haven't been too successful in a while. And it would have been easy to lose this team, especially in recent years with everything that went on with Russell Wilson. Now, Russell Wilson isn't there. It's like, all right, well, the Seahawks are probably going to stink, and Pete Carroll's going to be out of a job. He's older in age. But no, they rally around him. He brings out the excitement and energy in each other, whether it's the players getting it from Pete Carroll getting it from the players. And you see that from the offensive line to the defensive line, mixing in rookies that have played really well for this team, whether it's Walker or Tariq Woolen. They're getting contributions from veteran players, whether it's Geno, the ultimate journeyman, and young and rookie players too. Yeah. So they're really getting it everywhere, which is a huge credit to Pete Carroll. He probably could, deserve a raise if he wanted to be a head coach. And when you're managing your money, you should be doing it with Amuni Financial.
At Amuni Financial, we help you live in the now.
Dude,
congratulations. We're so happy for you.
Thank you.
And even though the now may feel very different, you still need to plan for the future.
How's retirement treating you?
Oh, just fantastic.
I know I say it all the time, but you really got to come up to Colorado.
Let's do it.
All right.
Yeah.
We can help you develop that plan to keep you on track so you can still prepare for tomorrow, today. Amuni Financial. Plan ahead, stay ahead.
Well, that's right. If you've got some money, and I hope that you do, you need to let Amuni Financial help you manage your assets. And also, too, this is a very turbulent economic climate that we're in. And it really requires some veteran experience. This is not the time to go with the rookies. This is the time to lean on the veteran experience of Amuni Financial. They've been doing this for over 40 years here in the Tampa Bay area. They can help you across the state of Florida. They can help you across the country. Amuni Financial, they want to help you plan ahead and stay ahead. It means legacy planning, brokerage and advisory services, retirement accounts, college savings accounts, and insurance services. With that 40 years of experience, again, let Amuni Financial help you plan ahead so you can stay ahead. Give them a call, just like I did, 1-800-868-6864. I've got the majority of my financial investments in my portfolios with Amuni Financial. I've been thrilled with how they have navigated these economic times with my retirement. And so do what I did. Go to Amuni.com and check them out. Highly recommend Amuni Financial.
One of the rookies we haven't talked about yet is the cornerback Woolen, who, other
Good
than
player.
Sauce Gardner, is really,
Yes.
really proving himself as, obviously for the value they got him too. I mean, the Seahawks drafted him 4 picks before Zion McCollum, and this guy is a starter, and again is in the running for rookie of the year. So he'll be tasked with going up against Mike Evans and or Chris Godwin in this game. But Todd Bowles actually spoke about him too. So let's get to that clip right about now.
Well, you saw the flashes in college. He's put it together his rookie year since he's come in the league. He's 6'4". Usually get a 6'4" corner that runs a 4.29, or 4.27, whichever he ran. He got his hands on balls in college. He's getting his hands on balls, and now he's a willing tackler. Got very good footwork for a guy that tall, and he's making plays. It's hard to throw over him.
Ties are adjustments.
So yeah, he's an interesting guy to watch. Boye Mafi is another guy that's been getting playing time on this team. So I just like the Seahawks are a very odd team. I was watching a lot, especially they played the Giants a couple of weeks ago, and I look at the Seahawks, and I don't think there's really any one position outside of DK Metcalf up there is like a star player. Outside of that, though, there's nothing like insanely threatening about the Seahawks. But that Giants game, the Giants are a good team that doesn't have remotely the talent that the Bucs have, and they won the game on special teams. Their kick returner fumbled it twice, and that's what won the game for the Seahawks. But they're just in every game. They don't let up. They're relentless. And I think that's something where, to go back to the beginning of the show about Tom Brady calling out the energy of this team, if the Bucs let up for even a moment, I think Seattle's going to be right in this the whole time.
I agree. They've won their last 4 games. They're a hot team, and that includes a sweep of Arizona. The Cardinals lost to the Seahawks 19-9 in Seattle. That was back in week 6. That kind of kicked off this 4-game winning streak for the Seahawks. Then they had a very impressive win at LA, not against the Rams, but against the Chargers, the better team in LA, 37-23. So they put up some points there, and they did the same against the Giants, as you mentioned, 27-13. And then they finished the sweep of the Cardinals at Arizona last week, 31-21. Now, one of the interesting things is they have 3 losses this year. One of those is to the 49ers, and the 49ers might end up winning the NFC West just because they have another game against the Seahawks later this year. But they lost at San Francisco 27-7. That was their worst loss of the year. But then the other 2 losses, Matt, interesting. They lost against the Atlanta Falcons at home, 27-23, and another NFC South team, the New Orleans Saints, 39-32 in New Orleans. So maybe the Buccaneers, being from the NFC South, can have a trifecta, and maybe the South rises up and beats the Seattle Seahawks over in Germany. That's just one little interesting scheduling quirk there. But I think, defensively, if you look, they don't have Bobby Wagner anymore, right? Nope. The Bucs already played Bobby Wagner. He plays for the Rams now, and Wagner had a very good game against the Bucs last week. But
blocked field goal.
But right now, what they're doing is they're just playing good team defense, right? Uchenna Nwosu has 7 sacks. He's their sack and pressure guy. 2 forced fumbles, a fumble recovery. He's got 3 passes batted down at the line of scrimmage. So he's kind of their guy up front in the trenches. They're getting good play from Quentin Jefferson, their defensive tackle. He's got 3 sacks. He can stuff the run. He can also play the pass very well. At the linebacker, level, they're missing a little bit of star power there without Bobby Wagner. But I think that collectively they're playing good team defense, right? And you look at they've got Jordan Brooks, Cody Barton. Those are some players that really aren't household names on the interior of that defense, but they're getting the job done, right? They may not be superstars and Pro Bowl caliber players, right? Boye Mafe was a player we liked coming out of Minnesota. He is, he's a rotational, edge rusher backing up Nwosu. He's got a couple sacks this year. And in the secondary, they've got a dynamic playmaker in Tariq Woolen, who's got 4 interceptions already, including a pick 6. He, like you said, is kind of the NFC version of Sauce Gardner. And they're getting the job done collectively. This might be a situation, Matt, where if you go back and look at the Bucs Super Bowl season, the only player that made the Pro Bowl that year was Jason Pierre-Paul, right? There might not be a lot of Pro Bowlers on this Seattle Seahawks team. Geno Smith might be, he and Tariq Woolen might be the guys, right? But they're just winning by playing smart, hard-nosed football on both sides of the ball. That's what caught Todd Bowles' eye.
Yeah, this is the ultimate example of like team unity and togetherness versus like overall talent. And you can go back to that Bucs Super Bowl which again, it shocks. Like, how is Tom Brady not a Pro Bowl player that year?
Yeah.
But anyway, guys like Devin White before he truly became Devin White, for better or for worse, and Vita Vea before he truly became Vita Vea. And, the Chiefs, you had Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. So it was kind of like the team effort against the team effort against the team stars. And a lot of times the collective effort, the collective group will win. Matthew here. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Did you already speak on Brady's comments on how lazy, unprepared, no accountability on this team? In short, poorly coached, reading between his lines. Yes, we did at the beginning of the show. There's also a story on it on pewterreport.com about Brady calling out the players and maybe who specifically he is talking about. So we did get into that. One thing I do want to get into is, it's very surprising. The Bucs are a 3-point favorite going into this game. And typically, if you're the home team, if it's kind of like even, you'll get like a 3-point spread if it's pretty even. But this is a neutral site game. This game is internationally, it's in Germany. But the Bucs are still a 3-point favorite, which is very surprising. They were a 3-point favorite against the Rams as well, and that went to a push because the Bucs won by 3. But anyway, if you're going to be betting on this game, make sure you're betting on it at mybookie.ag. You know sports and you pick winners all the time, so why not get paid for them at MyBookie? MyBookie has the biggest online selection of odds and contests for all your sports betting needs, anytime, anywhere. Bet on the NFL, NCAA, or swing for the fences with the brand new Money Bag. The MyBookie Money Bag is a one-of-a-kind opportunity to spin for crazy odds on props and futures. That'll come up big when the props come out for Tom Brady's passing yards and all the other players' individual stats. Just place your bet, spin the wheel, and get ready to score epic odds on the best teams, athletes, and events. Sign up free today using promo code Pewter, that's PEWTER, and claim a deposit match of any amount up to $1,000. A cool G, as some say. Again, that's promo code Pewter to claim your deposit and give yourself the competitive edge. Even if you learn from Plant City Math, you know that that's a great deal. It's not just a sports book, it's a community. So bet anything, anytime, anywhere with mybookie.ag. The Bucs actually, I was talking with Kevin O'Donnell of Fox Sports today, the local station. The Bucs have not covered in their last 7 games. They've either lost or it's been a push. So pretty wild.
It is wild. At least. Yeah, almost as wild as Vita Vea leading this team in sacks. He's got 6.5 after Sunday's game. And What else is kind of wild is the fact that the Buccaneers have not had a defensive tackle reach double-digit sacks since Warren Sapp did it back in 2000 with 16 and a half sacks. It's kind of crazy to think about. But Vita Vea, who needs 3.5 over the last 8 games, Matt, that seems doable. They're putting him in a lot of positions to get that done by putting him in the B gap. He's not that classic A gap, 2 gap nose tackle where he's lined up over the center almost exclusively. He's really getting the job done as a 3 technique in this under front, which is something Todd Bowles wanted to get to last year, but just did not have the horses up front, the guys that could run, like Logan Hall and Akeem Hicks. And so Vita Vea was kind of designated or relegated to playing the nose tackle, and he played it well. He made 4 sacks, which is a career high last year, made his first Pro Bowl. But with his 2 sack performance, he now has 6.5. That's a brand new career high. He's leading this team, and he's really become a force. And I was talking to Joe Tryon-Shoyinka in the locker room today, and I think that he really has to continue to have a big game against the Seahawks here. He's got to come through with a sack or 2 and make life uncomfortable for Geno Smith. They really need Vita Vea to play consistent football down the stretch, and I think if he can do that, provide some of that interior pass rush. You saw Joe Tryon-Shoyinka get literally robbed of a sack.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'll talk to Joe today about it. He said it was I got a perfect jump. And I said, the same thing happens to Shaq Barrett. He says, absolutely. And you know why he got such a good jump? Because he learned the tricks of the trade from Shaq Barrett and also from Jason Pierre-Paul. The way that the clock is positioned, the play clock at Raymond James Stadium it's like field level. So you can see that, and a lot of times what he will do is instead of looking at the ball, he's looking at the clock. I mean, he'll look at the ball to see when it's snapped, but he'll look at the clock too. And when it's down to 3, 2, 1, he's like, I'm taking off, because I'm either gonna beat the snap and get the sack, or they're gonna have a delay of game.
Yeah.
And he said, if you go back and look at the film, I literally was out of my stance, but had not crossed the line of scrimmage. It was a perfect snap, and it should have been a sack.
He put it on his Instagram story as well. Like, was I offsides? Was I not? So, he's very close to having a breakout game. He had the face mask 2 weeks ago that negated a penalty, and then this play. I asked Larry Foote about it today, the co-defensive coordinator. He says, I keep going to Joe. I say, when are you going to have that 4-sack game with 2 forced fumbles and things like that? So I think we're getting close to the Joe Tryon-Shoyinka breakout game, whatever you want to call it, which is going to be awesome. Chris here, very nice comment. Thank you guys. As usual, a great podcast, Scott, Matt. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that.
This might be, we still have a couple minutes left, but this might be the best podcast we've ever done. And I just want to say thank you all, you Pewter people, for being here, part of history.
Happy to share it with everyone. For sure.
No doubt about it.
Which is why
you guys make the podcast. We just relay everything we learn and know from our, watching the game, talking to our sources, working the open locker room, and doing the press conferences. So I appreciate you guys. We do this for you. Otherwise, I'd just be on the phone with Matt talking Bucs. But we do it for you guys because we love sharing the information and getting the great feedback too. We appreciate all the super chats and all of that. Guess what, Scott? If JTS gets the same jump again, he will be called for offsides every time. Bucs always called for offsides. So whatever he learned from the rest. Yeah, Shaq Barrett has been called. But at the same time, sometimes it is the perfect jump, and refs, not the blind ones, but the ones that aren't blind can see that. So Gary, we appreciate the comments, very much so.
Yeah. Thank you.
And the thing is I'm still going strong. I mean, Matt he's a young, tough dude, 29, right, Matthew?
Yep.
29. Right. All right. Well, I'm old enough to be your dad, Matt. But I don't feel like it because I go to age rejuvenation. I feel like I'm 10 years younger.
As we age, our hormones decrease, both for men and women.
I was tired all the time, had no sex drive.
I was groggy.
I felt like I was 80 years old because everything hurt.
I came to age rejuvenation because I was tired all the time.
Bioidentical hormones has really made such an impact in people's lives.
I actually enjoy shopping now.
Got all my energy back.
Mind is sharp.
I feel like I'm 18 again.
It was perfect for me.
Get with Age Rejuvenation. Do it now. Don't wait.
Call Age Rejuvenation today.
Okay, that's a little extreme. One lady felt like she was 80. One guy said he felt like he was 18. Okay, I appreciate the hyperbole. And maybe that's how they feel. I'm kind of like John Gilmore. John, former Bucs tight end. He helps us out with the Pewter Report tailgate shows. He says he could feel like he could play another 10 years in the NFL. And I've actually talked to John. He's like, yeah. He's like, I'd probably get hurt because I'm 43, but I feel good. I feel like I could legitimately play in the NFL. Probably wouldn't last long given my age, but I do feel that good. I don't feel like I'm 18. I never felt like I was 80, but I don't feel like I'm 50. I feel like I'm 40. And if you want to feel younger, if you want to feel better, if you want to lose weight, I'm actually down 3 pounds of fat, not just weight on the scale, but actually 3 pounds of fat gone. And I'm building my lean muscle up. Go to Age Rejuvenation. Do what I do. Do what John Gilmore does. Lose weight, feel great, have better sex. You might have seen Age Rejuvenation as the sponsor by SR's Fab 5 column, as well as the Pewter Report's tailgate show. They're the presenting sponsor. Folks, if you want more energy, if you want more stamina, do the testosterone therapy. It's the way to go. It's helped me. Go to agerejuvenation.com. Get that free consultation. It costs no money. It's worth it. Age Rejuvenation's got 5 Tampa Bay area locations to serve you. Go to agerejuvenation.com. You won't regret it.
Yeah, help yourself out. Check out the website, Age Rejuvenation, which, of course, we appreciate them. We appreciate everyone in the comments as well. You guys are, obviously very smart. We said that. But you guys are hilarious, too. We have a ton of great comments that always make us laugh all over the place. From today's show to future shows as well, which, of course, will be on tomorrow. JC Allen and myself at 4 o'clock. And also, we are going to have a bonus episode on Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Our resident genius, Paul Atwall, will be having a show on Friday. Will be pre-recorded, so unfortunately, we won't be able to get your comments on that. But it is a little more Bucs and Seahawks discussion.
Right.
Paul, being from around that area, is a little more familiar than the Seahawks as per usual. And of course, on Sunday, we have the Pewter Game Day show, the Pewter Tailgate show first at 8 o'clock, followed by the Pewter Game Day show. Of course, that's brought to you by Celsius and also sponsored by Age Rejuvenation, typically live at Walk-Ons, but this week, because it's so early, it will not be. But nonetheless, make sure you check out Walk-On. So again, tomorrow, myself and JC, that'll do it for today's show. So for Scott Reynolds, I'm Matt Matera saying thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. We will see you tomorrow for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Auf Wiedersehen, out.
Guten Tag.